I gained a significant amount of weight during the last couple of months, around 20 lbs or 9 kgs to be exact, and I'm going to show exactly or explain exactly in today's video how I'm going to transition into the next phase, which I referred to previously as a body recomp. So technically, a body recomp is when you build muscle while losing fat at the same time. This is something that usually is reserved for a few scenarios. I think I can come up with 4 on top of my head. So the first one being that you are a beginner at the gym. When you're a beginner at the gym, every single thing you touch is gold, basically. So you don't really need to focus on optimizing all these tiny little details. Just go to the gym, have fun, and you most likely will get results because your body isn't used to the training stimulus. Second scenario is when you are a trained individual, but you've been taking a break from the gym, maybe because of injury or maybe because you just took a break from the gym. So when you go back, you are most likely able to build muscle while losing fat at the same time. Scenario number 3 is when you are using performance enhancing substances. Now, I don't fall into any of those categories, which is why me saying that I want to do a body recomp doesn't necessarily make a lot of sense. Now, you can still do a body recomp and achieve results. I think this is the wrong color. But instead of saying that you want to achieve it in, let's say, 12 weeks, it would make more sense to say it is a long-term goal. So let's say in a year from now, I want to have a changed body composition, and that would be something that is indeed achievable. But then you would probably combine that with another goal, for example, saying that you want to feel more fit or more athletic. So for me, the phase that I want to transition into next is basically a different kind of phase, even though I referred to it as a recomp previously. But the reason why I want to transition into a different phase in general is because I feel like I got the results that I wanted to get during this bulking period. So now I'm excited to basically change things up and to kind of see a little bit more muscle definition. Now, you don't have to go through all these phases of like building muscle and losing fat. I just really enjoy doing it. It's a challenge to me, and I just love pushing myself into different directions. And I'm in this phase of my life right now where I just love focusing on going to the gym and training really hard, and combining that with different goals just really helps me to push myself. So what I am going to do is I'm basically going to start a small cut. So during a cut, you make sure that you are in a deficit, which means that you basically set yourself up to decrease your body fat percentage. What happens when you do a cutting phase after a muscle building phase is that you will look more muscular, because if a layer of fat is covering your muscles, and getting rid of that layer of fat automatically means that you will see more muscle definition. So that is why I mistakenly refer to it as a recomp, because I will actually look more muscular, but in fact I'm doing a cutting phase. Now, one thing that I won't be doing is really put myself in a dieting phase, because I currently don't track anything. I don't keep track of my macros, I don't keep track of my calorie intake, and I love it because it's just easier and it comes more natural to me. So what I am going to do is basically keep my intake the same. So I just keep eating what I currently eat, but then I'll increase my movement, because you can create a deficit to start that weight loss phase by either eating less or moving more, or a combination of the two. And I just really enjoy creating a deficit by moving more, because that makes me feel more fit. Also, I have a dog. She loves to go on extra walks. So it is basically like hitting 2 birds with 1 stone for me. I'll be increasing my cardio. So I have a follow along channel where I upload follow along workouts, obviously. I do the cardio workouts and I absolutely love them. So it's just easy for me, because it means that I'll just film some extra workouts while I'm here, and that will really help with making sure that my movement is increased, because as I said, those are like the workouts, the cardio workouts that I do, and they just really help me with building my cardiovascular health as well. But it's important with these things to remember that even if your goals are the same, so let's say that you want to achieve exactly the same as what I want to achieve, then our needs still might differ. So you always have to take that into account whenever you see something that someone does and you think about copying it. Doing the same thing doesn't necessarily mean that you'll get the same results, even if you have the same goals. So I always say that you have to pick the workout split that works for you, because if you can make it to the gym 3 times a week, it makes more sense to do a split that is based on those 3 times, so you will optimize your results. Whereas if you want to follow a 6-day split because someone else is following a 6-day split, but you can really only make it 3 times a week to the gym, then you're doing something that isn't optimal. So even with the 3-day split, you can get the same results as a person with a 6-day split, just because it fits in your schedule and therefore you can give it the same effort. And I always say that it truly isn't rocket science. It is like fairly easy as I explained it. It's like calories in versus calories out. But the fact that it's simple or easy doesn't mean that it is also easy to achieve or easy to do, because being in a fat loss phase or being in a muscle building phase or going to the gym regularly, those things can be hard to do. But one thing that I learned that my dog trainer always told me when I'm training Loie is that you have to set her up for success. And I think that you need to do the same with yourself. Just did the rest of my makeup, my brows, my mascara and my lips off camera. And I'm now going to do my hair. But setting yourself up for success. So for me, that means, first of all, doing a split that fits your schedule. Make sure that you design your environment so that it sets you up for success. So for example, when you want to train at home, maybe put down your yoga mat the night before. Maybe if you want to go to the gym, make sure that you put your workout clothes out so you don't have to like go ahead and choose in the morning what you want to wear. If you plan on eating a specific way or not eating a specific way anymore, then make sure that the food that you have at home enables you to make that choice. So if I'm on a fat loss phase, I try to not buy anything that I don't plan on eating, because I know it will be so hard for me to say no when I'm hungry and I want a snack and it's there. That's much harder than it not being there. And of course, sometimes you're not able to. Maybe you have kids, maybe you have a partner, maybe you have roommates, but just try to design your environment so it is easiest for you, whatever that looks like. Because you will come up with excuses, because that's how our mind works. But that's just something that we have to fight against and train our mind, and it will become easier over time. Because as I mentioned in my last video, over time, you will prove to yourself that you are able to achieve the things that you set out to do. So you make promises to yourself, you stick to them, you build your confidence. So over time, these things are a lot easier. But if you aren't there yet, then you have to build yourself up to that level, which every one of us is still struggling with it. It's an ongoing process, but all you can do is try to do better than yesterday. That being said, I'm going to blow dry my hair. I cut it, by the way. It wasn't until like my glutes. Insane. I love it that it's shorter now, because I was just wearing it up, which to me doesn't really make sense if you have long hair. But I'm going to film a follow along workouts. I'm going to do my cardio, and then I'm going to go to the gym after. So I'll take you with me. I almost finished phase 1 of my new guide, which is the Elevate guide. I'll link it in the description box down below if you want to do the same workouts as I'm currently doing. And regardless of what my goals are, whether it is that I'm in a muscle building phase or whether I'm in a fat loss phase, as I currently transitioned into, my workouts always stay the same, because I don't use resistance training as a tool for fat loss. Resistance training for me is to help me build my muscle, and what helps you build muscle mass is also what helps to prevent you from losing it whenever you transition into a fat loss phase. So what I'll be doing is I'll use cardio as a tool for fat loss, as I explained previously. So I'll make sure that I increase my daily steps. I'll do extra cardio work, and that way I try to create that deficit. But my resistance training always stays the same. So regardless whether your goal is to build muscle or to lose fat or to do a body recomp, you can use my guide and follow the same split. The key to staying consistent over time, because we all know that consistency is what in the end gives us the results, but staying consistent with your workouts, whether it is the gym or home workouts, staying consistent with any of the healthy habits that you're trying to build, staying consistent with eating healthier, making better food choices, staying consistent with going on your regular walks, going outside, like whatever it is that you want to stay consistent with. The key for me lays in the fact that you change your narrative and you change your language to, instead of I have to do this, to I get to do this. Because being able to have that choice in the first place, to go or not to go, or to stick to it or to not stick to it, that's already coming from a privileged position. And therefore, if you change your narrative to I get to do this instead of I have to do this, it made the biggest difference for me. Because every time I feel like I don't want to go to the gym, or every time I feel like not eating a healthy meal, saying to myself that I get to do this when there are so many people who don't even have that option, that really puts things into perspective, and that really helps me with being extremely grateful and truly building gratitude. And therefore, even if I might find some things annoying at times or I don't feel like going, I still remind myself that I get to go, and that's truly how I've been able to stay consistent over time. The first exercise for today is the 1.5 rep hip thrust, which is a great way to increase time under tension. I'm not putting the bar down in between my reps. I keep the bar above the ground to really keep that tension on my hamstrings and on my glutes. I usually do 4 or 5 exercises for leg day when I have 3 leg days per week. So even though I divide my leg days between quads and calves and glutes and hamstrings, and then I have 1 full leg day, I still do 4 or 5 exercises. Reason being is that volume is key when it comes to making progress. It's a really good indicator for hypertrophy, for muscle growth. But most people, instead of doing too little, they often do too much. And if you do too much volume, it's very hard to recover, and you would need a lot of time to recover between your sessions, which isn't really possible when you do 3 leg days per week. So whenever my frequency is higher, so whenever I have 3 leg days per week, I make sure that my volume per session is lower to make sure that I can actually properly recover from your workout, which is key, because if you don't recover, you can't grow, and therefore your effort has been going to waste when your goal is muscle building. 4 or 5 exercises shouldn't be too little work for most people. If you feel like it might be too little, then there is a chance that you aren't putting enough effort or intensity into your training. Because with training, you try to make sure that every single rep is treated as if it's the only rep that you'll be doing. So we're focusing on tempo, we're focusing on muscle contraction, instead of seeing this as a 12-part sequel where only the last 2 reps should be hard. So that's a reminder for the next training. Thank you so much for watching this video, and then I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.